Hi, wonderful WHAP students. You are officially 24 hours from taking your AP World History test. And so I wanted to go through a few last minute reminders with you. The first last minute reminder is when is your test, which it is tomorrow. So it is on Thursday, May 21st at 1 p.m. Remember that you are going to start gathering up all your materials and making sure that you start logging in by 12:30. Again, you're going to gather up any materials and I'll go through which ones that is exactly or are exactly on the next page. You should also start logging in at 12:30. You can't do it prior, but you can start logging in around then. And please be patient with the system because there are many other people who are taking the test just like you. So if you don't get in within a few minutes, again, keep trying. And on this next slide, I'll show you how to get in. Once you are ready to log in tomorrow at 12:30 or after, you are either going to go to your email and open up and see an e-ticket that looks exactly like this from College Board. You should have received this on Tuesday. Again, it'll have your AP ID at the top, which you will need to type in for your response, in addition to saying AP Modern World History, May 21st, 2020, and 1 p.m. Central Time. Once you click on this yellow button that says Go to Exam, your exam will open up. There may be a series of questions that you are asked, secure questions that you are asked, and then it will give you a countdown up until 1 o'clock or when your test is officially going to start. When that countdown ends or it is officially 1 o'clock, you will automatically be taken to the testing screen. If you do not have your email registered correctly under AP Classroom, you can just log into the actual AP Classroom. This is the phone view, but I'm sure it looks very similar to the iPad view as well. From what I have heard, it is very evident or obvious when you go through AP Classroom of where that exam ticket is going to be. You'll notice that this person's AP ID is right here, and then it'll be a yellow button, much like this one over on the right, that will be linked here for you, and it'll say Exam Day. So again, you can either log in via email or AP Classroom. My suggestion is email because that has had the least complications or problems. And then just remember that whatever device you decide to access the exam on is the one that you're going to submit on. So if I log in or click on this yellow Go to Exam button on my iPad, then I need to make sure that I am then going to submit my answers on my iPad as well. Please plan out ahead of time of how you are going to get this done. Again, if you are handwriting, maybe you're going to be taking pictures and uploading them to your iPad and then submitting them that way. Or if you are going to be typing, that you'll probably have to be typing on your iPad then. The biggest, most important thing that I wanted to emphasize today was knowing the rubric or how to get the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to actually writing this DBQ. And so what I did at the beginning of the week was I shared this mega doc with you. And this mega doc on the first page I think is super helpful. Now remember, you are not allowed to have a shared source up, so you are not allowed to have this exact link up. However, you can always go File and then make a copy, and then your copy can be yours. It is not shared with anyone else, and therefore you can use that copy on exam day. But the copy that I have for you, or the one that I have for you because it's shared with all of you, would be considered part of plagiarism. So please make sure you go and make a copy if you choose to use this. With that being said, again, this labels for or tells you every single thing that you should have within your essay: contextualization, thesis, doc usage, argumentation, outside evidence, sourcing, and complexity, in addition to a description and how many points you are awarded for each of these things. There are also sentence stems here, and again, I just talked a little bit about plagiarism, so I'm going to touch on this really quickly. These sentence stems are really for those of us who you struggle to get something such as argumentation, or you need a starter to get you going, or making sure that you actually do prove the point of whatever your argument is with those documents. These are not going to be flagged for plagiarism because, again, College Board knows that many of you are going to have some sort of stems or docs next to you. The piece that would be flagged for plagiarism is if you and somebody else shared or had very, very, very similar ideas within your essays, or, 5 sentences that were the exact same, something along those lines. Because College Board knows that each of your answers after this document proves my claim, because your analysis is going to be very unique to you and how you are going to word it or the argument you are presenting, that you will not get flagged for plagiarism because of this. So again, sentence stems are a-okay. Use them if you need to. And this might, again, be a helpful document to have up to make sure you are checking off all of your boxes or going through and reviewing your DBQ to, kind of figure out like what points would you get. With that being said, I quickly want to go through and talk about how to get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of writing. Again, that first body paragraph, and you can see my outline here on page 2 of how you could or should organize. That first body, your introduction paragraph should have contextualization and thesis. You can get up to 2 points for this introduction paragraph, 1 point for contextualization, and 1 point for your thesis statement. The next paragraph that you should have is a body paragraph. Again, this should include 2 documents and be your first claim. You could get up to 2 points in this first paragraph just by describing that document and describing 2 documents and then analyzing those exact same 2 documents. So again, I can get awarded up to 2 of those points. When I go to write my second body paragraph, and if I have correctly analyzed now 4 documents, so 2 from the first paragraph, 2 from the second paragraph, then I would be awarded that third analyzation point without even having to write my last document. Now, of course, I do want you to attempt or try to write that last document, especially as a fallback in case you misinterpret a document or do not get the full points for analyzing in either your first or second body paragraph. So again, try your hardest to get to that third body paragraph. If you are somebody, however, who knows that as we have been practicing writing DBQs, that you for sure can get your contextualization and thesis in, you do a really nice job on those and you get the points for those usually, as well as those first 2 body paragraphs, but sometimes that third body paragraph is a struggle with your last doc. My suggestion would be is trying to fit your outside evidence and your sourcing into those first 2 body paragraphs. Again, if I was going to go through and have my introduction, and I was awarded the contextualization and thesis points, that's 2 points total. If I then go through and write my first body paragraph, and let's say in my first body paragraph I correctly use and analyze 2 documents, that's 2 more points that I could potentially get. If I add in 1 point of view and 1 outside evidence in that first body paragraph, that's 2 more points I could be awarded. So now I'm already up to 6 points, okay? And then I could add in that second body paragraph with 2 more documents for a total of supporting my argument with 4 documents for a third point there. I also could be adding in, again, that another piece of specific evidence that connects to my argument, an outside piece, as well as another point of view for potentially 8 to 9 points, depending on how well you do this. Now, again, my suggestion is get to that third body paragraph. Don't think I'm telling you to not do that, but also understand or learn how to play the game, okay? So understanding the rubric is really important, especially if you know you're somebody who your outside evidence is maybe a struggle, but your point of view is on point, that I would for sure make sure I get my 2 points of view into those first 2 paragraphs or whatever time I have, and then work on my outside evidence. Because again, if I'm not very strong at these are not necessarily guaranteed points compared to this, something that I do really well. So again, thinking about, the feedback that I've given you as a teacher, as well as what how well you write, or what are things that you do really well, that this would be helpful again for knowing the DBQ. There are also some other things on here, again, suggested materials for test day, as well as if you're stuck on writing. Here are questions that I normally ask you guys to help brainstorm for contextualization, claims, and outside evidence. The one thing I really want to quickly say about claims is that when you are trying to figure out claims, if you are really struggling on this piece, and you cannot figure out how these documents are trying to organize themselves into claims, I would go back to that prompt and figure out what do you know to be historically accurate, or what claims could you make about that prompt, not even worrying about the documents. And then from there, start jotting down those ideas. Go back and look at those docs then. Do any of the documents then fit what claims you then have? Chances are you'll be able to pull a few in, and that way hopefully you won't be a sitting duck during the AP exam. Last but not least on this page, you have 45 minutes, okay? So that is from start of I'm going to read and analyze the docs, to writing your entire DBQ, to work. Please do not give up halfway. You've worked so hard up until then. You've been put in a very unique online virtual learning situation. Use that entire 45 minutes to show what you know. Again, if you get stuck, this is where outside evidence can become your best friend. Tell them what you know about that topic, and maybe it's something that's not in the documents. If you are somebody who you are busting your tail trying to write for the entire full 45 minutes, and you've been working really hard up until then, again, don't give up at 30 minutes and think like, oh, I've been doing this forever and I'm just over it. Push through that next 15 minutes. Again, 45 minutes by 2 o'clock on Thursday, this will be completely done, and then we can move on from there. So again, 45 minutes, try your hardest in those 45 minutes. And then remember, you're going to take 5 minutes to submit, and we'll talk about that in 1 second. The last thing is that I have a bunch of great study tools linked here for you. If you have any questions about how to use them, please feel free to reach out. Again, this would be my #1 suggestion of having next to you on testing day. The next thing that I want to go through is submitting really quickly. Again, you have ultimately 3 ways that you can submit, although I know that many of you are going to submit either using the copy and paste from a Google Doc method, or you are going to submit a handwritten response. Either way, please make sure that at the very top of your response that you are going to write your initials. So for instance, I'm going to write KZ. I'm then going to put in my AP ID, and those 2 things you can actually start or do prior to 1 o'clock or prior to that testing time. So if I needed to, I could open up a Google Doc at 12:45, put those 2 things in, knowing that it's completely done. In addition, if you are somebody who's going to be handwriting, please make sure you number your pages. That way, if your pictures get jumbled up as they are uploading, that the reader is able to see that that first picture that has a 2 on it is really page 2, and that third picture is page 1, so on and so forth. So again, please make sure you number your pages if you are going to be uploading your own response, handwritten response. If you are uploading a Google Doc, no need. You just really need those initials, and then your AP ID. Hopefully you've practiced a few times so that you can see what this is going to look like in the testing center. And again, if you have not, those links are for you on Google Classroom for practicing with attaching in the simulation test. Last thing, and this is only if you can't submit, but please know that many people have, as long as you do that 5 minutes, okay? So you have 45 minutes to read, analyze, and write. You have 5 minutes to submit. Your screen will show at the very bottom left-hand corner a blinking red 5. There's no like bell or like ding, 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 so make sure you're watching the time. But with those 5 minutes, you want to make sure you take that entire 5 minutes to submit. Again, there's going to be a lot of people who are on, and so we don't want to have an overwhelmed testing system and then you all of a sudden can't submit it. Okay, so make sure you take that 5 minutes. If for some reason you can't submit, you will see a screen that pops up and says that that they did not receive a submission from you yet, and give you an email address, and you can then copy either your Google Doc into an email, compose an email to them using that unique email address they'll give you, compose an email to them or upload your pictures and send it off that way. You will know if you were able to submit or not because it will say, again, once you press in the testing screen, if you press the submit button, it'll tell you, congratulations, your submission was received. Again, if it says your submission was not received, that would be the only reason that you would then receive a unique email address and then have to email them your submission. If you have any questions about this, I will be available around the 12:30, well, all morning, tomorrow morning, as well as around the 12:30 mark to help people get logged in. Otherwise, good luck, and I hope that next week we can talk about how awesome you did. Bye.